Buff Nation, what is going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. See, picked up a new jersey. Had to get a Travis Hunter one. But shout out to Chief Solomon and B in the chat. Y'all be hitting that like button as we get started. If I got time, I will answer this question. I have started for you, Chief Solomon. MB, thank you so much for chiming in. I'm going to go ahead and get started. You guys see the topic that I have here in the title of the video. We're talking about who is going to be the next offensive coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes, serving under Coach Prime, working with Shedeur Sanders. And I still think Shedeur Sanders will break all the single season records here at CU. And so my expectation is that next year, he's going to be breaking his own records, right? So, spend some time this evening looking through, trying to figure out who might be some good guys, that if I was in charge of making this hire, that I would take a look at, that I would try to get in the room, that I try to pitch coming here to be the offensive coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes. So, I think I have 8 names for you guys, if I counted correctly. So I'll run through some of them, get you guys' thoughts. Well, I guess I'll run through all of them. And I think I will share my screen for these as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. Give me 1 second. We can go ahead and get started. Okay. So I'll get the obvious one out of the way. A lot of buzz about Byron Leftwich coming here. Which is exciting stuff. I have been more excited about this type of hire because of the Tom Brady connection. Both Shedeur Sanders and Byron Leftwich are Tom Brady guys, and why not have them work together, right? And if you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense during his tenure from 2019 through 2022. I mean, it was some of the most successful offense that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have ever experienced. Of course, Jameis Winston had his 5,000 passing yard season in 2019, the best year of his career, where he was the 30 for 30. Was it 32 touchdowns and 30 picks, something like that? I can't remember, but nonetheless, very exciting offense to watch. And if you had Winston in fantasy that year, I mean, you just absolutely killed it. And then got to work with Tom Brady for 3 years. Obviously, they had a ton of success, depending on what metric you're looking at, anywhere from a top 2 to a top 10 offense consistently for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, that last year did not go as planned. A lot of different reasons for that. But I think Byron Leftwich obviously is a better coach because of his time in Tampa Bay, specifically working with Tom Brady. And you guys don't want to get me started on Bruce Arians. I think he's an okay coach. I kind of like to title him like a fake genius because what quarterback has ever been really amazing working with Bruce Arians other than the GOAT, Tom Brady? You know what I'm saying? But that's another conversation for another time. That is option number 1. And I like Byron Leftwich because, again, obviously he's got a relationship with Shedeur. He's already been on campus, which is great. Slap Happy in here. Where is Rahad? I was just talking to him maybe 10 minutes ago. So if he hops on here, I'll send him a stream if he wants to hop on. Thank you so much for the super chat, Slap Happy. And but this is let's get into maybe some of the unknowns that we have about Byron Leftwich. One, does he want to recruit? This is something Rahad and I were talking about off air. Does Byron Leftwich want to grind that way? Does he want to recruit? Does he want to get on the road during the bye week and travel the country throughout the year? Will that be asked of him? Or, will we take the approach of, no, guys are just going to come here to visit? Maybe we take an unconventional approach. I don't know, but that's one. And then also, he's called some good offenses in the NFL that doesn't always translate over to college, but there's a lot of success from the coordinator positions from OCs going from college to NFL, vice versa, more so than there is kind of the NFL head coach type of thing, like with Urban Meyer or whatever. But another Tom Brady guy, Bill O'Brien, not the best head coach for the Houston Texans, right? Having mediocre success this year with Mac Jones with the New England Patriots, but nonetheless, he's called some really good offenses in the NFL. He's also had some success in college, working at Alabama as well. He's a very interesting guy. And he's the only guy that I have on this list that currently isn't coaching and currently coaching in college. So that is option number one. I got to say, I would be excited about this for many reasons. The biggest thing is his relationship with Shedeur, and I think a shared philosophy, of what they want to do. I think that would be great. Okay, let's move on to option two. This is another obvious one that I've talked about, and then we'll get into some guys I'm sure these names you haven't heard of, or maybe just a few you've heard of. So, one second. Option number two. I love the idea of continuity and stability. That is the foundation that needs to be laid for long-term success, right? So why don't we just promote from within? Brett Bartolone, right? Assistant coach, wide receivers, already here on campus, already served as an offensive play caller and offensive coordinator for Shedeur Sanders and Jackson State last year, where I believe off the top of my head, I should know this, Shedeur threw for like 40 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards last year, right? The man knows how to call an offense, and he knows how to call an offense for Shedeur. And I think if I had to choose any of these guys right now, I think I would just want to go with Brett Bartolone, because we know he's in it for the long run. He already understands the culture, what's expected, how to work with all these players. He's been around this offense and all these players, again, for this year, some of them multiple years. So I think that type of experience and relationship would serve him well. It's amazing. Oh, here are the stats. 3,400 yards, 36 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. And then with the Celebration Bowl, I think Shedeur Sanders got to 40 touchdowns. So he killed it. And yeah, he's got some interesting experience. Most recently before at Jackson State was at Nevada. But overall, like if I had to choose a guy, I'd like to see us promote from within. I think that starts with Brett Bartolone. But if we were to hire someone else from a different college that is currently on a staff, let's look into some different possibilities, okay? I think I'll start with this one. Mike Shanahan. And you're saying, what? Mike Shanahan is old. He's retired. He's won so many, a handful of Super Bowls. How many Super Bowls he won? 2 or 3? Forget with the Niners, whatever. But he's done coaching. Well, we have a new version of Mike Shanahan, and that is the offensive coordinator. To my knowledge, no relationship to the great Denver Broncos coach Mike Shanahan, but I could be wrong on that. Just didn't say it in this bio, I don't think. But Mike Shanahan, offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach at the undefeated 9-0 James Madison University. And this offense is exciting. I mean, they've had a big win earlier this year against Virginia, an ACC out-of-conference opponent. But, I mean, this offense is just putting up a ton of numbers, right now. Let me pull it up here. I have it here. Averaging over 33 points a game, which is great. Good passing efficiency. Their quarterback, Jordan McLeod's having a great year. and averaging 160 rushing yards a game. That's music to my ears. you know, so I love to see that, averaging 37 attempts, which is great, to 31 passing attempts. So obviously that would be different with Shador here at quarterback. But what I like is not only is James Madison putting up a bunch of points, but there's also an emphasis on the run game, which you love to see that. So James Madison, and this is something that's pretty interesting, is that you could, in a sense, bring that offensive coordinator there, and all you need to do is just increase the salary. He can come in here, do this thing. Again, we just experienced what happens when you have a G5 offensive play caller come up here and it not work, or it to be, yeah, just for there not to be enough creativity. But at the end of the day, guys, most of these offensive coordinators, they do come up through the FCS and G5, schools at some point. So it's not something that we can just be afraid of. But I will say, Mike Shanahan is one of the only two G5 coaches that I had on here. We'll go ahead and take a look at another possible G5 coach to bring on here, KC Woods, who is the offensive coordinator for the Mustangs, has play calling experience. He has been at Missouri as well, so he has experience in Texas, which I like. He has experience in the SEC. That should come in handy when it comes to recruiting. Preston Stone's having a pretty good statistical year, and I believe SMU also is having a very successful year on offense. That's right. They're averaging 40 points a game and 174 rushing yards a game as well. That's music to my ears. But they're putting up a ton of points. They have a great run-pass ratio, and they actually run it a ton. 38.4 attempts a game to 34.7 passing attempts per game. So another coach who has shown the ability to emphasize running the ball, which I think with the stable of running backs we have should be something that we look forward to seeing CU do more next year. All right. Now, let me get to some big time guys. And I'm not talking just about Power 5, Power 4. I'm talking about offensive coaches right now that serve at big time ranked programs that have great offenses. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to leave my favorite of these four for last. So maybe I had 7 names. No, I had 8 names. Yeah, because I had Bartolone on there. But let's go ahead and start with this one. Emmett Jones. Emmett Jones. Currently, he is the passing games coordinator and wide receivers coach for the Oklahoma Sooners. And he has a ton of coaching experience, but this is what I thought was really cool. He was a highly respected figure in high school football in Texas for many years, most notably head coach of one of the powerhouse high school programs in Texas, in Dallas. That is the South Oak Cliff, where I believe Jaden Milner-Jones is from as well. Worked at Texas Tech, had a ton of success there, worked under Cliff Kingsbury, and now working with Oklahoma. And they've had one of the best offenses this year in college football as well. Of course, Dylan Gabriel is having a great year too. But Oklahoma, again, they're averaging 40 points a game. They're the number 8 ranked offense in all of college football. And they have a great ratio of run to pass. I mean, they rush the ball right now. Obviously, with that big offensive line, those talented running backs, they're averaging 177 yards a game and over 300 passing yards a game. I mean, their offense is just incredibly explosive. He would be somebody that I would be really interested in seeing what comes of the offense if he were to lead it. Now, one thing that I don't believe is the case with Emmett Jones is play calling experience. So that could be something that is definitely an unknown or a drawback to hiring somebody. But at some point, these guys, these offensive assistants, before they become head coaches or whatever, or offensive coordinators, they have to be given that first time, to be an offensive coordinator or play caller. Maybe it's here at CU, right? And I don't know like how much he's being paid. That could be something else too, because some of these big blue blood programs, they're paying their assistants over $1 million. So that's something that I haven't seen with Emmett Jones. But if we can provide him a nice pay bump, that would be something really interesting. I love his connections to Texas. I love the fact that he's been around some really great offensive minds in college football, and right now he's part of a staff not only that has a great offense, but understands defense. I'm sure he's learning a ton from Brett Venables as well, which is only going to make him a better football coach and a better offensive coach as well. Emmett Jones, I like him. But let's cross the Red River and let's take a look at Texas. We have the co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, AJ Milwee. This is a guy who's working with Quinn Ewers, a guy who's working with Malik Murphy and Arch Manning. How can I forget his name, right? But he has spent some time at some great programs as well. He was a former analyst for Alabama, spent time at Akron as well, where he called plays. Offensive coordinator, I believe was his title at Akron, had a lot of success there. And he's been working with the Texas Longhorns for a handful of years now. So Texas is another one of these programs that is having a great offensive success this year. And what I like about Texas's offense, similar to Oklahoma, is that not only do they have elite quarterback play at the college football level, but they also have fantastic wide receivers, really, really, really good running backs, and elite offensive lines. So, like, they understand what all needs to happen in order to get to that level. They've been around it. They've seen it. That's a really important thing. They've seen what it looks like, right? So, Texas, let me find their ranking here. They're a little bit down the list compared to Oklahoma, but, Quinn Ewers been hurt, whatever. Still averaging 34 points a game. Still averaging, almost 200 yards rushing. That's insane. 185 yards rushing, 271 yards passing. Those numbers, in my opinion, would probably be up if Quinn Ewers was healthy, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, this is still a top 25 offense in college football and has those roots now in Texas. Again, has been around big-time programs, and he's also played quarterback himself. So, love to see that. Okay. I got two more for you, and then we can start talking about your ideas and your thoughts and comments, okay? All right. Now, one of the best offenses this year in college football, currently ranked number 4 in the nation, the Washington Huskies. They're averaging 41.7 points a game, 383 yards passing, 126 yards rushing. Michael Penix Jr. is just tearing it up. Washington, undefeated. Their offense is beautiful to watch. It's a lot of fun. They have a great, run to pass ratio, 37 passes to 26 rushes. When you got an elite quarterback like that, you're going to pass it more. But Washington is one of those programs not talked about a lot. We can see with the wins they've had this year, they are a powerhouse program. So I don't believe JaMarcus Sheppard is currently calling plays. He is the associate head coach and passing game coordinator, also oversees wide receivers. So we're not poaching their offensive coordinator. That's right, which I think would be really hard to do because I think Washington's got more money than CU has right now. But why don't we take a shot on JaMarcus Sheppard? And I think he spent time at Western Kentucky, if I remember correctly. Yes, here we go. Yeah, spent some time at Western Kentucky, which, if you guys remember, in the 20 teens, had a fantastic offense. My favorite candidate out of this bunch that I'm going to talk about next also spent time at Western Kentucky, and he was the co-offensive coordinator at Purdue, and they had, some decent success there as well. So he's worked with wide receivers. Of course, we're going to be recruiting wide receivers, but I like this idea because he comes from a big-time program, a winning culture. He sees what everything looks like when it's reached that elite level, and he's done a fantastic job of coaching wide receivers and offense. I like this guy. I would hope we could give him an interview because if we're going after a guy that is playing a big-time role in Michael Penix Jr.'s success, that's a great thing. That is a great thing. Kalen DeBoer, he's building a great staff and culture over there, and CU would benefit from having somebody come over here from that program. But my last candidate on my short list that I think should be considered and brought in. Oh, this would be really great. I'm telling you, this would be awesome. And I'll preface it by saying this, y'all. Preface it by saying this. There's been one team that absolutely destroyed us, man. And, in our case, man, it was just a beautiful disaster, man. And that was our matchup against Oregon. They they made us look silly. They destroyed us, 36-point victory, and we only scored 6 points against their second-team defense, man. They destroyed us. Oregon is currently the number one team, the number one program in the nation in terms of offense in the NCAA. Bo Nix is having an incredible year, obviously. Their offense, averaging 330 passing yards, averaging 208 rushing yards, 36 passing attempts a game to 33 rushing attempts a game. And you've seen the creativity, the pre-snap motion. It's a beautiful thing. Will Stein coming over there from UTSA to run the offense after Kenny Dillingham jumped to Arizona State. He's done an amazing job. That offense is incredibly fun to watch, just like the Washington Huskies, ranked number 4 in offense. And I think a guy that we should be looking at is, Junior Adams, co-offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach. Okay? He's got play calling experience, a proven talent developer. Might I, ask you, do you know Cooper Kupp? Do you know that he recruited and coached him? Also, I didn't connect the dots on this. Other Rams stud wide receiver, Puka Nacua, he's also coached him. This man knows offense. This man knows wide receivers too. And being at a school like Oregon, continuing to learn and be around what a good winning culture looks like, what it all looks like when all the pieces are going together. I like this. I like Oregon's offense. I love Oregon's offense. And I think, you put Shedeur Sanders in there as the Oregon Ducks quarterback instead of Bo Nix. Ducks fans probably won't like to hear this, but I think y'all go undefeated, man. I think y'all win the national title with the team right now with Shedeur Sanders at quarterback. I think Junior Adams, he's somebody that I am very interested in. And I hope we can have a very serious interview with him. But called plays at Western Kentucky. Again, they had some high-flying offenses in this past decade in Conference USA. But, I mean, he's been around the coaching carousel for years. Eastern Washington, Chattanooga, coaching high school in Washington, Montana State. I mean, this could be interesting. Yeah, most recently was actually at Washington as well before getting that title and responsibility bump promotion to co-offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach. So he's also been around Kalen DeBoer and been learning from both the Washington offense and the Oregon offense, those coaching staffs, everything like that. But yeah, I think he would be somebody that he could put Shedeur in the right positions. And all these guys that I outlined, like, again, they all understand the importance of running the football. And again, so does Sean Lewis, during his time at Kent State. We've seen that not work out for whatever reason it is. Of course, we still have an offensive line coach that we will need to hire as well. We'll see how that goes. I need to start doing some research on some guys that that we should be considering for that. But overall, I would love for Coach Prime for us to go after one of these big time assistants at one of these super successful programs: Washington, Oregon, Oklahoma, Texas. We're going after some of these young, bright minds. Casey Woods at SMU, or Mike Shanahan over at James Madison University. Byron Leftwich would be somebody else that gets me very excited. He's a little bit different than these candidates that I've outlined, but I will say my favorite, to end all this is still Brett Bartolone. I think that would be the best move in terms of continuity, experience with Shedeur. We've already seen his success as a play caller, but if we aren't going to go in that direction, we aren't going to get Byron Leftwich, if we aren't going to get Brett Bartolone, let's take a shot at one of these guys. And my preference is Junior Adams. So thank you guys so much for listening. And we'll see what y'all got to say. Slap Happy. Y'all going to steal Oregon, folks? Well, one of their assistant coaches. I don't know if we could pay like their offensive coordinator or anything like that to come over here for the same title, right? But a guy who's still looking for that promotion, who's looking to call plays. Not calling plays at Oregon right now. Will Stein is. Could that be an incentive? That could be a lot of fun. Let me scroll back up. All right. Oh, yeah, Chris Alford. Yeah, that's right. Bill O'Brien was at Penn State and left for the Texans. Thank you for that reminder. Let's see. Chief Solomon says, I'm a bandwagon bust fan that's been following y'all this year. I like what I see happening regardless of what the haters and naysayers are saying. Greatness takes time. Absolutely, man. And that's just going to make the mountaintop so much sweeter. When you actually go through some stuff, some adversity, right? Rawhide Media, what's going on? Who are the haters? Man, Slap Happy, you've probably seen some of them, man, in the chat. Oh, Rawhide, I'll send this to you if you want to hop on in, man. I can probably go for like 30 minutes or so and get your take on this if you don't have anything else going on. Let me go ahead and send this over to you just in case. If not, it's all good. I'm just chilling. but there is the StreamYard link for you if you want to come on in and chat. Yeah, JMU is pretty good, and yeah, they've been blown away. Their conference competition, and I hope they become bowl eligible. I saw that they petitioned for that, and I think that would be great. Amani, man. I love this comment. This is so fun and hilarious. We basically fired Sean Lewis. And us fans are interviewing coordinators. Love Sean Lewis, though. Great guy. Just a little joke. Isn't this so funny? Because it's so true. Like, Coach Prime, this whole phenomenon, man, it has us scouting. It has us recruiting. It has us looking at high school tape, stuff that I've never done before. It has me researching who we could be hiring. It has us, like, I don't know, just wishing we were on staff. It's crazy. A special teams coordinator filling that role, that's going to be a little bit trickier than I initially anticipated. I'll get to that in another segment. But yeah, man, like, this whole thing is just fun, man. It's so fun. I appreciate this comment, Amani. And I want to say too, yeah, with Sean Lewis, I think he's a great guy too. I think he's a good person. Sometimes, man, just things aren't the right fit. They don't work out for whatever reason. I don't know if we'll ever know the reason. Again, I don't understand why you switch play callers and the run to pass ratio doesn't change. I don't understand that. I hope it changes this time around because we can't have Shedeur breaking his ankle. Yeah, this is all fantasy talk. Brandon Klein, you're stating long shots. Well, give me some names, man. Come on. I've done my research. Give me some names. Giggity. Hopefully my internet's better right now. It's not cutting out now. But yeah, no more G5 coaches. I know. But no more G5 coaches, I want to clarify. Running the offensive line. Nope. Not going to hire any offensive line coach that's coaching G5. Now, if that happens again, I'm gonna lose my mind. And then, you know me, I'm gonna be drinking the Buffs black and gold Kool-Aid, man. So I'll figure out a way to get excited about it. But no, we need somebody with experience. Mike Munchak, if he's okay recruiting. Oh, please. Just travel a little bit, man. I know he likes living out here, but man, Mike Munchak, he's so good. The line where he's always coached at in the NFL was always much better with inferior talent. He's my guy. They say Coach Prime changed coordinators 3 times when he was at JSU. I wonder, does that affect how potential candidates view taking this position? Yes, absolutely it does. No doubt. And it's something, again, that's why I think this continuity, this idea of just promoting Brett Bartolone kind of helps, alleviate that kind of argument against coming here. Because Coach Prime would say, hey, I've kept these assistants and whatever, and then I promoted them when the time was right. I mean, he's done that before. So that's what I think is interesting about this whole thing. So I'll say this. Don't interact with the trolls very often, but Brandon Klein, if you're going to subscribe to me and comment in here, I mean, you can say no other head coach. I mean, we're talking offensive assistants right now and offensive coordinators, but that's just not true. That nobody's not going to take an OC job for that's just crazy. Somebody is going to take this job, and I would be curious, from your perspective, who are some bright young minds, young coaching minds that we should have our eyes on? Be a solution to the problem. Think a little critically. Come on now. Oh, thank you, NB. Thank you. I should know this. Jane Milner-Jones was DeSoto. I should know this because Von Miller and Katie Nixon are from DeSoto. Then we didn't get anybody from South Oak Cliff. There was a South Oak Cliff lineman that went to TCU. And I believe one of Texas's top wide receivers and cornerbacks is from South Oak Cliff. That could be DeSoto, though. I get them confused, as you can see. All right. Rawhide Media not allowed? No, I texted him. Again, he can come on if he wants. Dude, I don't even know what you were saying in the last video. It's Slap Happy, but dude, you're the best, man. I always love it when you chime in here as well, along with Rawhide, man. So I will love you. Slap Happy, man, another great comment. Said Nick sucks, but this is the pack. Well, I also think he got better coaching over at Oregon than he did at Auburn. I think right now, I know Auburn got to a national championship within the last, well, I guess they won with Cam Newton. But after the Cam Newton era, Auburn's kind of been in flux. I know that they reached the national championship 1 year after that, but since then it's like Oregon's had a much better staff and success. My wife chiming in. I think Prime needs coaches from big schools like Oregon. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I love that. See? Oh, Rawhide's in his birthday suit. Sorry. Hey, man, it happens. It's all good. But Giggity, you're right. Whoever it is, they will need to get along with Shador. Yeah, man. You just need to get along with your players, man. You gotta be on the same page. You gotta approach the game the same way. Another thing about Byron Leftwich that I think we need to think about in terms of if he's a good fit. College needs to change this, but we were talking about I was talking about this with Rawhide offline. We need we need the headsets or the earpieces in the helmets of college football quarterbacks. That would also, Lawrence Collins brought this up with me. This would also help the sign stealing stuff, like go away, whatnot, because you can't talk directly to the quarterback's helmet right now, like you can in the NFL. So you're relaying in the play calls, through somebody on the sideline, doing all the, you saw Sam Hartman doing that on the Notre Dame sideline, right? And again, it's just different. The way Byron Leftwich, there will be a learning curve for him of calling his offense or whatever, because then you have to break down that terminology into signs and signals and things like that. Again, I don't think it's a huge deal, but again, it's just something else that there might be growing pains with. Jean-Paul Shelton. Buffs will win 2 out of the last 4 games to go to a bowl and win next year, dominate in the new conference. Man, that's my hope. I guess we got to win 2 out of the last 3. We got 3 remaining. So we got Arizona, Washington State, and Utah. All of those programs are really good. We got our work cut out for us. But, we've seen this defense turn the corner. Can we see the offense get some momentum back? If they do, watch out. Watch out. We were right there with Oregon State. We were right there. And our coaching mistakes, 7 points, that was the difference in that ball game. We're closer. We're closer. Much closer than we were last year. But we're close to these victories. What is a G5 coach? So in the top level of college football, you have the Power 5 conferences, the main 5 conferences, the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, and the Pac-12, which is now dying. So it's going to become a Power 4. Part of this same level of college football is 5 other conferences, the group of 5, not the Power 5, where it's clearly the best teams and most powerful conferences. You got the group of 5, which is like kind of the league below, but they're still like nationally ranked and stuff like that with the big boys. So that would be like the Sun Belt Conference, Conference USA, the Mountain West Conference, Sun Belt. Did I say Sun Belt? And then the AAC. DeMarcus Leonard, what if O'Boyle is the problem? I think he is. I'm in agreement with you there. I think it's obviously a combination of both coaches and players, but I'm putting the majority of the responsibility on Bill O'Boyle. If they don't promote from within, I would imagine they look into a position coach from a Big 12 school to bring in. Yes. That way we have those Texas roots. That's why I'm really interested, even though he doesn't have play calling experience. Emmett Jones is really interesting. And again, AJ Milwee, very interesting. Now they both have Big 12 slash SEC slash Texas roots. That's going to be huge for recruiting. They know the area. I mean, again, Emmett Jones, coached South Oak Cliff. That's awesome. So I'm sure, well, let me look back at the years he coached. He might have already left South Oak Cliff before Deion Sanders was coaching in Dallas. And Deion Sanders was coaching private, so they probably didn't play each other. But nonetheless, I'm sure he knows who Emmett Jones is, for sure. Do you think if Jordan commits, he will start immediately at offensive tackle? I would assume so right now with how the room shakes out, but well, with the room as is. But I mean, we're just going to have to see who we bring in the transfer portal. Again, I might be in the minority of opinion. I think the players that we brought in on the line, the majority of them were fine. Fine. Not all of them. Majority of them were fine. I think that I'm not going to get into that this whole video, but I think we get another good offensive line coach that has Power 5 NFL experience coaching here. I think you'll just see a better performance, even if we kept the same 5 guys. But I do think outside of Van Wells, I think we could see a brand new offensive line starting for us, which would be interesting. And I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Can he make that transition immediately and start at left tackle? He has the body to do it right now. You know, I think physically he can do it. But I think it all starts with getting a guy that can, you know, that has proven success coaching these guys. That's, I think that's why Jordan Seaton is still considering us, because he knows, he knows that Prime knows how to, like, he has to fix this thing. He has to get somebody in there that, can do the basics, can get these guys to, understand who they're blocking. That just hasn't been happening. We did see some more improvement this past week, I feel like, in a lot of the protection stuff. Again, not perfect protection. Maybe still not even average, but it was better than what we saw against UCLA. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pat Shurmur is now the co-offensive line coach and co-offensive coordinator, why we saw some improvement with the offensive line, but we're just going to have to see, it's going to be interesting, but nonetheless, let's just promote Brett Bartolone. I think that would be fun. DeMarcus, yeah, Van Wells holding it down in the center, and I feel Kareem needs to play right tackle. He had success besides the penalties he had against Stanford. Yes, Kareem Harden played very well against Stanford, absolutely. I think he's been doing okay at guard. I still feel like the big issue has been left guard, whether Bailey or Beebe's been in there. I think BB was in there in the second half. Bailey might have sustained an injury of some sort, it seemed. So I don't know, but again, man, with Bill Boyle again to come out and call this line weak, and then you go ahead and you're starting your lightest offensive lineman on the line, it just doesn't make any sense to me, man. A lot of y'all trolls are saying Coach Prime is, playing favorites, yada yada yada. I think it was clear these Kent State coaches were playing favorites. That's just my opinion on that. But it's not like those other guys did any better, Jack Wilty had a tough time in there against UCLA too. I think it was. Okay. Chief Solomon, getting back to your first question. Let's say Warren Sapp and Byron come to the coaching staff next year. Who would be out? That's a good question because you can only keep 10 assistant coaches on staff. I think you would probably see Sal Sunseri retire and Warren Sapp replace him as defensive line coach. And then Byron Leftwich, if he's coming on, it should be for offensive coordinator, him replacing Sean Lewis. Now, I won't get too much into this rabbit hole, but because we can only have 10 official assistants, again, this explains why special teams is meh right now, is we don't have anybody on that's an assistant coach that has in their title special teams as their responsibility. So that responsibility, to some extent, is falling on Trevor Riley, our quality control analyst for special teams. But the issue with that is that he can't actively coach these guys or communicate to them on the sidelines during the game. And that probably explains why there's been so many miscues on special teams, because we don't have a coach actively coaching it. So maybe one of these guys that we have on staff, I haven't done the research to see if anybody right now that is on our staff has special teams coaching experience, but it's clear what I'm hoping is that whoever we bring on as the offensive line coach, they can also whoop our special teams into place, because we've also had protection issues on that left side of the line consistently. So that's my hope. So I'll need to do some more research with that, but it's going to have to be probably split with an assistant coach in terms of their responsibilities. Right now, because we have two guys coaching on the front seven or the defensive line, we have Nick Williams with the edges, and right now Sal Sunseri. Maybe at some point it's Warren Sapp instead on the defensive tackles. That it's kind of a redundancy, but they're also different positions. But that would be a way to create a spot for an official special teams coordinator, is having one guy responsible for the edges and D line. Compared to right now, we have two coaches to do that. So, and I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't have a strong opinion on that yet. But we just need somebody that can coach special teams. Surely Tim Brewster could do it well. All right. I'm going to wrap this up. I got to give Lex a call. She called me right as I was starting this. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. I think I'm going to have Big Dog and Dave tomorrow. So that will be fun tomorrow afternoon. But I'll be back throughout the day. Let me know if there's some other things you want to chat about. But big shout out to DeMarcus Leonard, Andrew, Rawhide Media, Slap Happy, John Paul, Giggity, the rest of the gang. Appreciate you all. I'll see you tomorrow. And as always, Sko